I mean, there are similarities of like between Palworld and Pokemon. I mean, you're running around, hunting all these creatures, and I guess you shoot them and kill them or knock them out with bullets, however the fuck that works. And you have like an array of pals. Palworld is such like a lame name to me as well. Like instead of pocket monsters, it's just like they're pals. They're your pals. They're your pals running around the world. You gotta catch your and make a bunch of pals. What about Nintendo suing Palworld? Yeah, that's that seems like bullshit to me, man. Cause like, I mean, there are similarities of like between Palworld and Pokemon. I mean, you're running around, hunting all these creatures, and I guess you shoot them and kill them or knock them out with bullets, however the fuck that works. And you have like an array of pals. Palworld is such like a lame name to me as well. Like instead of pocket monsters, it's just like they're pals. They're your pals. They're your pals running around the world. You gotta catch your and make a bunch of pals. Palworld is just kind of a weak name, but the gameplay looks all right, and I don't think Nintendo has any ownership over hunting down creatures and having a team of creatures to fight other teams of other creatures. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like Nintendo has any legal ground to like sue over that. But there are, I guess I would imagine if Nintendo has anything on Palworld, it'll be like with one-to-one character meshes that are sort of reskinned and recolored or whatever. Um, but I heard about recently about this patent bullshit where like I don't know if this is true. I think it might be based on what I've read. Is that Palworld came out, Nintendo saw it and they were pissed off, but they couldn't really do anything at that point. And then they started registering these patents after the fact and then securing them, and now they've launched this suit where Palworld is in violation of these patents now, like that were created or registered after Palworld came out, which seems like bullshit to me. That just seems like them creating an excuse in order to give them legal ground to even file the suit in the first place, which is like, how the fuck is that even gonna... I mean, that stuff must be all time-stamped. So how the fuck would that fly in court? That makes no sense to me. So I imagine if Nintendo were to win this, it would either be they succeed in scaring the Palworld developers and just making them back down through power through lawyers and the amount of money that they have, or that there are repurposed assets that have been ripped straight from Pokemon games, which I'm not entirely convinced that's the case. I mean, some meshes and designs do look similar. I mean, you look at a bunch of Palworld designs, and it's just like, oh, that looks like that Pokemon mixed with that other Pokemon, you know? But that's, to me, that's about the worst that it gets, you know? I've seen some meshes where it's just like, that looks quite similar. Like, almost identical in terms of like limb proportion and just the size of the body and everything. Like, I don't know if you could, but it seems almost with some examples that I've seen that you could overlay the meshes one to one and they'd be almost like exact. That I can see Nintendo having some ground there, but overall I'm not really on board with Nintendo doing this. I mean, I can understand. I think I have a bit more sympathy for Nintendo than others, because like I understand trying to protect your IP. And I think they just, I don't know, I understand them trying to protect their property. but they are just so fucking anal about it, and they have no. I don't think they understand the success that community like mods and like games that are derivative of Pokemon can potentially help them. I guess they can't help but see something like Palworld as just destructive to their own monopoly, I guess, on the sort of Pokemon format of like catching creatures. Like I guess with Palworld being out there and popular, Nintendo thinks that that is ultimately going to affect their bottom line, but I think too fucking bad, you know, because like everything is derivative, including Pokemon, you know. Um, like that whole idea of turn-based combat in Pokemon is not new, for fuck's sake. And trying to secure, trying to take something like catching wild creatures and saying like that's my thing, no one else can do it. Like that just seems really stupid to me. Um. Anyway, that was my TED talk on Nintendo. They stole clear Pokemon designs. Oh, for Palworld? Maybe they did. I mean, maybe there's certain examples I haven't seen. There's certainly some meshes that look quite similar that I feel would give Nintendo some legal ground to file a suit. People are now realizing how Nintendo has built the ultimate legal strategy to crush anyone who steps on their turf in Japan. Palworld flew too close to the sun. Yeah, well, that shit that they're doing with patents, I mean, I don't even know if that's going to work. I mean, how can Palworld come out and then the patents get registered and then Nintendo sue based on the patents? That just seems like, no, Nintendo, sorry. We're not doing that. I don't know. I don't understand that. To be honest, I don't look at Digimon and think that they look like Pokemon. Some of the Palworld pals look damn near identical to Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, Digimon was a thing. Not just Digimon either. There was Monster Rancher as well. So, like, I don't know why. I guess Nintendo, for whatever reason, didn't see Digimon or Monster Rancher as a threat to them. But I think Nintendo is looking at Palworld and thinking like this will actually hurt our gross revenue in regard to Pokemon products if we let this go on. But I just think they don't really have any real ground to stand on, and they're just trying to fabricate some ground with the patent bullshit. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of things to bash Nintendo for, but unfortunately, I think this lawsuit is justified. How, though? I don't understand exactly how. Like, I would first assume that it's the meshes are too identical. That they took meshes straight out of Pokemon and just slightly adjusted them. I can see maybe some ground there. Otherwise, I don't really see it because, like, there's obviously similarities. Like with the storage box system, that's like really similar to Pokemon. I mean, because they're actually called boxes in the Pokemon games as well, where you store your pals. It's like box 1, box 2, box 3. That was exactly how like the Game Boy games worked and shit. So obviously they've taken a lot of inspiration for Palworld, but being inspired and doing things that are similar is not enough legal ground to stand on. I think it would have to be something with the meshes, probably the meshes, because the designs, I've never seen a design that's like 1-to-1 with Pokemon. It's always like a mix of one and the other, which I think is fair game. I think it was the Pal balls that did it. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Like you actually have to throw balls to catch the pals in Palworld. And that's just too similar to Pokeballs. And Pokeballs is like too specific of a thing to take out a Pokemon that I guess that is one of the things that Nintendo is using as legal ground. So I don't know how far that'll take you in argument in court. Like maybe, I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with copyright law to know if that's something that would be sufficient enough to like give Nintendo a win. There's a few that are extremely close copies down to the color palettes. Okay. Yeah, I guess if some designs are a little too similar, I mean, it's just it feels like such a gray area that's difficult to like. I feel like unless designs or meshes are one-to-one identical, then it's not going to work. But then maybe, I guess, in court it can come down to like a percentage of how similar something is to another. But then how do you measure that exactly? Like, it just seems like such a foggy legal area to navigate.